2nd and 5. Quickly getting it to Nailor. Speedy Nailor. Named perfectly, isn't he?
Going deep downfield. He's got it wide open. Jalen Nailor, and they'll never catch him.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another very special NFL Draft edition of Stay Hot. Today, we're going to be going through another NFL prospect, diving deep into his college career, his hopes, dreams, excitement for the NFL, and more. And today's prospect is none other than Jalen, a.k.a. Speedy Nailor. How are you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. I'm doing good, man. How are you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good. And, before we, do these interviews, we like to do a little bit of research. So we found out that you actually went to high school in Vegas, and we're going to be in Vegas for the draft. And we wanted to know what is like your go-to place to eat.
My go-to place to eat out there probably be Teriyaki Madness, In-N-Out. Those are my top two for sure.
I've had In-N-Out. I'm a big In-N-Out fan myself, but
yeah.
You said teriyaki.
You probably don't get a ton of opportunity to have it over in Ohio, do you?
No, it's not in Ohio.
They ain't got that one there. They ain't got that.
Oh, right,
here.
yeah, Michigan either. It's tough. I didn't have it either. I'm from Minnesota, and then I moved out here to Arizona, and it's awesome. It's like $7. It's awesome. It needs to be like that everywhere. So. You in high school in Vegas, you went to Bishop Gorman High School, right? And I have a friend who went there who was probably around your grade. You wouldn't happen to know Ryan Tismanetsky, would you?
No, not ringing any bells, no.
All right. I just had to ask when I saw Bishop Gorman High School. I was like, oh my gosh, Ryan went there. He talks about
years did he go there?
BGTV. He would have graduated in 2019. He was on BGTV or something like that. He's something he always talks about. But I was just had to ask if you knew him. But that school is absolutely like a high school powerhouse. And you guys were in national championships and were winning all the time. And I looked it up, and it's a relatively smaller school, like 1,400 people or something like that. How is a school of that size? Yeah. How does like a smaller school like that become such a big program on the high school level?
Honestly, I'll just say it's the kids and the coaches that's running the programs, that's in the program. I think that the coaching staffs at Bishop Gorman through all sports are pretty good, because we do pretty good in pretty much all sports. So it's hats off to the coaches and the students there.
Did you go there specifically because of their sporting prowess, or did you live in the area before?
No, I actually lived in California before high school. I moved to Vegas just to go to Gorman. Okay.
And was the recruiting process for that any similar to like the recruiting process for college, or was it a little bit different?
What do you mean recruiting process?
Like when you decided, or maybe there is no recruiting process, but like going to California and then going to Bishop Gorman for sports, like the process of deciding to do that, was it any different than like being at Bishop Gordon before and then going to college football? Was it like a recruiting process, or did you just hear about it and enroll on your own, I guess?
Well, my dad, one of his friends reached out to him. He was sending his kids to Gorman, so he wanted us to check it out. We checked it out, and then we took the placement test, visited the school, and then just that was it from there. It was no recruiting process or anything like that.
Okay, makes sense. And speaking of the recruiting process, I got to ask, you were committed to ASU at one point, which is where I go, and then switched to Michigan State. No hard feelings or anything, but I had to ask again as an ASU student, like what was the draw of ASU, and then what was maybe like the bigger draw to Michigan State, and how did you eventually settle on choosing Michigan State as the school to spend your college career at?
Right. Well, I was committed to ASU for pretty much my whole senior year leading up to the state game. Their head coach at the time, Todd Graham, and Rob Likens. Todd Graham got fired, and Rob Likens wasn't sure if he was staying. So I was just like, oh, I'm gonna just decommit and just open my options back up, because those are my main two sources of contact at ASU. So I just felt like it was best just to decommit, and then once I decommitted, Michigan State was the only school to reach out to me. So that's how that happened, how I ended up at MSU.
Ended up working out, but I think it was funny. You know, I had a lot of offers from like West Coast teams sort of in that area. Lived in California, went to Vegas, and then ended up going to school in Michigan. Was the weather adjustment tough?
Right. Oh, definitely. I'm still not used to this weather, man. This cold is different.
No, I'm from South Carolina. I live in Ohio now, and I feel you.
I was born in Ohio. I've lived here my entire life, and I still hate it to this day. Like as soon as I can, I'm getting out of here now. Right. But in high school, you also ran track, and I'm a big advocate for being, multi-sport athletes. You won titles in what was the 100, the 200, as well as the 4x1 and 4x2. How much do you think that helped you in football? And just really how much did that help you in both your speed and agility, or was it also like a mental aspect as well?
It's definitely helped me ever since I started running track. I started running track about 7, so each year I've been running. I wish I would have kept running in high school. I had stopped running my first 3 years, so I was just trying to focus on football. But track definitely plays a big role with football. Just having that speed, that explosiveness, that longer endurance than you would have during football. So I think that's a big focal point for all football players. I think they should all run track, in my opinion.
I know, we want to talk about football a little bit more. Was there a play in high school that you thought was just really exciting for you? Or was there a moment in high school?
Anytime I had a double route in any play, that was my favorite time to line up.
Was there a matchup during your time in college that really stood out to you, like a cornerback you faced that you thought was your toughest opponent?
It'd definitely be Greg Newsome from the Northwestern, now at the Browns. Yeah, he's a tough corner to go against. He could run. He's long, physical. He got it all for a great cornerback. So he's definitely my most competition.
When you were at Michigan State, looking at the stats from your freshman to your last year, every single year the reception numbers would go up, and you played a bigger role each and every year. How do you think your game improved most from when you first got to Michigan State to your last year and your biggest year?
It's definitely night and day from the start to the end. I came in, was a little raw, a little rusty with my route running and stuff. Just over time with that, I think that's something I was focusing on a lot. My route running, getting off a press. Because in high school I just played on the slot. I never played outside, so being outside that was a big change for me. Just having that constant press all the time. It was rough, but I was able to work through it throughout my years. So I think I had a pretty good career.
Yeah. What was the best, was there a moment when that kind of clicked for you when you're like, oh, this is how you beat press, or like, oh, that makes so much sense. And you started really kicking it into a higher gear? Was there a specific moment that sticks out to you where it's like, okay, I got this now?
It'd definitely be my freshman year fall camp. I could just remember about 90% of my reps I had press. So just going against that all the time, it changes you. You have to get used to going through that. So that's something I think I found more comfortable as time went on.
What do you think your strongest asset at receiver is now? As your game has grown from freshman to senior year, what do you think makes you the kind of receiver that you are now? Your best trait?
I'll say just getting in and out of routes at the top. Just being real fluent and consistent at the top of routes. That's something that my coach here, Coach Hawk, the past 2 years, that was something that he's seen in me that I need to work on the most. And he's proud of what I've done and where I came from. And then I'm glad as well with the progress that I've made.
What was your game plan like going? I mean, Michigan State had a big matchup this year against Michigan. What was your game plan like going up against a tough defense like Michigan with a lot of talent?
I wouldn't say really had a game plan. It was just executing. That was our biggest thing in our offense, was just executing, getting 11 guys to execute their assignments each play. So we didn't really get out of our game plan at all, get out of our playbook at all. We really pretty much ran the same stuff every game. So it was just a point of executing and just having fun out there.
Was there ever a game that you played in where you would maybe stray from what you normally do in order to like break out all the tricks to beat an opponent, or was it kind of always the stuff you would install day one and you would just run that throughout the year?
I would say we ran a lot of stuff from day 1 to day 5 install. That was most of our offense there. So we just had different formations to get into to run certain plays and stuff like that. So give the defense a little different look at different weeks.
Your best game of the year was definitely against Rutgers. You had a hat trick of touchdowns, I think over 200 yards. What did that defense do, especially if you're not really changing up your game plan for most of the year? What did that defense do or really fail to do that allowed you to have such a great game?
I couldn't even tell you. You'd have to ask them that. I mean, we just. I feel like that game we was just executing and just clicking on all the right cylinders on offense. I feel like that was definitely one of our best offensive games that we had.
And you talk about being able to, learning how to beat press. I thought that was really apparent in that game. A lot of times, like you would just burn a corner on a fade route. And a lot of receivers, when they get that outside release, they want to take it straight to the sideline. I thought you did a really good job of like stacking corners.
Yes, sir.
And I thought that played a big role in why you were able to have such a big game.
Yes, sir. That was a big point. Just route running for me. That's something that Coach Hogg was telling me every day, telling the guys every day that, hey, when you release, try to stack them, try to get on top, so you can have them playing at your pace and at your will, and give them more time to just have different options from here to guess from, and just get open.
So you said that in college, you were comfortable in the slot, or that's where you were playing most. I mean, in high school, you were playing mostly from the slot, and it was kind of new to you to play outside in college. Have you communicated with NFL teams at all about where they view you, and where do you think you'll kind of be lining up, whether that be X, Z, slot, or maybe all three? Have you been in any kind of contact with NFL teams about what your role might be at the next level?
I've had a couple convos. They said I could play both inside and out because I'm kind of a long athlete. Like with my running stride is kind of long, so they see that as pretty good for an outside dude and for my size that I am.
Was that at the combine that you were having these conversations? Was that part of that interview process?
Yeah, it was at the combine and a little bit after.
How was the combine experience for you, run through all the drills and talking to the teams? Was that like an enjoyable experience, or something that you're glad you don't have to go through really again?
That was a great experience. The stuff on the field and the interviews, that was great. The thing for me was just the medical stuff. That stuff was taking all day, being at the hospital for about 8 hours. It was just rough, but the on-field stuff and the interviews, it was a great experience. Just being able to be in that atmosphere around these NFL guys, around these NFL coaches, GMs, all of that. It was great.
When I was watching the wide receivers, and as the results kind of came rolling in, it seemed like not a lot of them were running the agility drills. I think it was something like only 13 of the 40 guys who were there were doing the 3-cone and doing the shuttle. And you were one of the few guys who did. Why do you think a lot of the guys passed that up, and what went into your decision to actually run those?
I would say PP was getting tired. Just throughout that whole on-field stuff, we was out there for about 4.5 hours, maybe a little longer than that. I feel like it was just taxing on us, but I was just like, I'm gonna just knock it out now, just get it out the way, so I won't have to really focus on it on pro day.
So I've been thinking a lot about like what might be the big difference between the combine and the pro day for a lot of people, and I just want to like get your thoughts on it and see if it might align with my view, which is that most people at a pro day, you have like ultimate control over what goes on. Would I be correct in saying like you have your quarterback throwing to you, you have you run your field that you're comfortable with, you get to pick your route, you get to pick everything. Do you think that's the appeal to doing a pro day even after doing the combine?
No, I think so. I feel like it's just another opportunity to to get on the field and show the NFL scouts what you can do. It's just another opportunity for guys, and I'm just glad to be a part of that. I mean, pro day is different. I thought it was gonna be different than what it was. It was just kind of dull and pretty bland with like the energy and everything going on. But I'd say the combine experience might have been better than the pro day.
Interesting.
During your like off-season training and getting ready for the NFL, have you spoken to any wide receivers? Have you trained with anyone else who's currently in the NFL?
I have not trained with anybody, but I've talked to a couple receivers.
Who have you talked to?
I've talked to Dez Bryant, Kendrick Bourne. I've talked to him a little bit.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Those are just a couple guys right now.
What have they told you, and what advice have they given you about like life in the NFL and what you need to do to succeed?
They just gotta say you just gotta go in and work, learn the playbook as soon as possible, so you can show them that you know what to do, you know what you got to do, and just being consistent, showing up early, being the first one on the field, last one off the field, getting extra work in, just stuff like that.
Yeah, makes sense. That's what we've had a couple other prospects on, and that seems to be, doesn't matter the position, that kind of seems to be like the mentality that everybody is like, yeah, you gotta have a very workman-like mentality, which is probably about the same for college. So I would imagine.
Well, we have a few rapid fire questions we want to throw at you before we get out. Don't think too hard. It's just for fun here. So the first one is your biggest fear.
Biggest fear, snakes. I'm terrified. I'm terrified of snakes.
I feel like that's a fair thing to be afraid of,
Yeah.
All right. Next one is your first purchase when you get your first NFL paycheck.
Oh, God. Probably a car.
Do you have a car in mind?
A Mustang. A Mustang. That's my favorite right now, so hopefully.
Okay. Is there a celebrity you would want to meet? Maybe take them for a drive in your new Mustang?
Kendrick Lamar. He's probably in my top 3 favorite artists. So spend a day with him would be amazing because I love his music. Love it.
What's your favorite Kendrick Lamar album?
To Pimp a Butterfly.
Good choice.
To Pimp a Butterfly for sure.
What is your favorite movie?
Ooh, favorite movie. I don't have one. It's up there with Transformers, Superbad, Longest Yard. Those just to name a few. I don't have a favorite.
I think you're the first person to not say Step Brothers.
Really?
I think so.
We've gotten a 2 in a row that said Step Brothers.
Yeah.
With Will Ferrell.
It's Step Brothers. Man.
So if you get to an NFL locker room and you need to like make friends, talk to them about Step Brothers, I guess. You want to fit in. I guess they'll like Step Brothers there.
So you said that Kendrick Lamar is one of your favorite artists. Are there any other artists that you listen to a lot, or maybe someone that you've been listening to a lot recently?
Maybe like since last summer to now, I've been listening to just Draco the Ruler every day. He's literally the only artist I've been listening to. Yeah, he's definitely, he might be my top 2. He might be one for me, but I just been listening to him since high school, and just being from Cali, he's from Cali, I can just understand like the type of stuff that he's talking about.
And then one more thing, we have this bit that we do on here. So what is your favorite ice cream flavor? Or if you don't have a favorite, a top 3?
Vanilla.
If you don't have a favorite, you could do like a top 3.
Vanilla for sure.
That's a good
Vanilla will always be good for me.
That's wide receiver 1 right there.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck in the draft and beyond.
Sure.
We can't wait to see what you do in the NFL. Shout out again to Wasserman Talent for connecting us with these amazing prospects. And thank you all for watching. As always, tons and tons of content coming away on all platforms. We will catch you all on the flippity flop.
Yes, sir.